record for the stream. And I am starting to stream.
You're hearing cats.
All right. So can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll have to figure out the dummy account later. In the meantime, we're live. Sorry for starting late, everyone. We had some technical issues, as is the name of the game. Welcome to High Level Games Presents Star Trek Adventures Episode 1, titled An Inauspicious Beginning. I thank you for those of you that watched our episode 0 where we made characters. Everyone was really excited to make those characters. And I love what we have going for us, both with the USS Bonaventure and as well as with each individual crew. The crew members themselves are Derek playing Ithrasi Zvazrel. Did I pronounce that correctly, Derek?
I'm going to say yes.
Great. Cyrid Hex. I think
Kirid.
that's Jake.
It's
yep.
Kirid Hex.
Kirid Hex, okay.
Yes.
Marcus Barton, that's Tim. And Celis Argel, that's Michael, our captain. And Bassa Edom, which is Vanessa.
Item?
Okay, great. We are really excited to get started. If you look at your screen, you're going to notice that there are symbols for the Klingon Empire and the Federation on the screen. Those symbols for the Klingon Empire represent threat. So I get threat as a resource, as a game master, 2 for every player to start the game. If you do certain things that are dangerous, or if you enter into lethal combat, I add threat. Okay? And so also, if you want to gain momentum or extra dice as we go, you can put more threat into my threat pool. Now, what threat can do is I can spend it to add complications to the scene, or I can add extra dice if I'm rolling against you. Okay, so the more threat I have, the more I can just bring down the hammer at some point. The Federation symbol is called momentum. Currently, you have 0 momentum, but I just put that up there so people can see. Momentum is earned in basically by succeeding at a task way more, with more successes than you need. So if I give you a task that has, say, 3 successes and you succeed at it with 4 successes, you get a point of momentum. Every time you enter a new scene, you lose 1 point of momentum. Sometimes you can even ask for a roll on a difficulty 0 task just to build momentum up. You can only have a maximum as a group, I think, of 5 momentum. I gotta admit that I'm really nervous about playing this game, purely because I still don't think I have a fulsome grasp on the rules, on the 2d20 system. I'm still trying to wrap around my head that 1 is good and a 20 is bad in this game. But we're going to try to make this work. Another burnable resource that you have is every one of you can have only up to 1 determination point. Now, determination points will not come up in this session. We're going to bring them in the future. I'm kind of going to roll out more and more of the complex rules as time goes on. I want you to be forgiving with me and with each other because we're all learning a new game system, certainly. And I know some of us haven't played a lot of role-playing games before. Most of us are here purely because we're huge Trek nerds and we wanted to live in that universe. But as we go forward, things I hope will be worth it and it'll be super fun. For everybody that's watching, we have a team of 3 writers and a producer that have been working with me to create episodes. We've created kind of a framework of 12 episodes for this season. As I told everybody, there's going to be one of those episodes is not going to be part of the story proper because we are going to do a mirror universe episode. But we've tried really hard to make them very Trek-like and make them very genre simulation. So what you're not going to see a lot of during this season is tons and tons of combat, old school D&D style. This is going to be very much trying to be Trek. Now, as far as the episodes go, not every episode will be able to be completed in one session. That's totally fine. We anticipated that. But we've kind of committed to playing through these episodes and seeing what at the end of Season 1 holds. And at the end of Season 1, if we want to do Season 2, someone doesn't want to continue, we can Tasha Yar them. Jake, she was a main character they wrote out by killing her uselessly. It's a whole thing.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah, I love that character too. It was really sad. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing that I need you guys to understand is that when we begin this episode, we're doing a cold open. You think about this episode, you guys are a few years ago, and during, you are all junior officers on the USS Saratoga, a Miranda-class starship under the command of, oh, you know what, I forgot to figure out who, of a Vulcan captain, I remember that much. Captain Martin Jedlicka, I think? Yeah. And, oh no, that can't be right. Oh yeah. So it was a Vulcan captain anyways, but its first officer was a gentleman by the name of Benjamin Sisko. The scene that we're opening up on right now is this one. So each one of you is a junior officer on this Miranda-class ship. You have been ordered by the Admiral, along with 39 other ships, to stop a single Borg cube that has kidnapped the Federation flagship Captain Jean-Luc Picard. And you are intending on making them stop before they get to Sector 001 at a spot of space that is unremarkably named Wolf 359. How does everyone feel?
It's terrifying.
That's a scary block of metal.
This is the stuff nightmares are made of.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to go perfectly fine,
I
and
hunger for
there
battle.
won't be any complications.
That's probably true. Probably true.
I got this.
So what's going to happen at this point is we're going to set the scene. So, Derek, you as the young Andorian security officer, your commanding officer has ordered you to protect the med bay kind of area that's kind of down and across from the engineering. Okay, so you're kind of in the hallway at this point. We're getting Timothy back again. Hi, Tim.
I had lost Michael and I never got him back.
See. So Vanessa, you have been ordered out into you're doing kind of your residency on the Saratoga, and you've been ordered to go into engineering and be there in case there is medical emergencies during combat. Michael, you are actually an ensign con officer. You were on the bridge, or you are on the bridge at the beginning of the gathering of these 40 ships. Jake, you are also sent down to engineering to assist them should any damage control situations come up, so you can deploy from that area. And your fellow con officer is Tim, up in the bridge. All right, so basically, as you're sitting on the bridge, Cisco is hearing from the Admiral. And the Admiral is explaining to you what the plan of attack is. He seems very confident, which is good, even though the Borg cube did clean the clock of the USS Enterprise. That was only one ship. You have 40 gathered here. Everything from Constellation classes to Excelsiors to Miranda classes to... there's even a single Constitution class refit ship that's here that's been in service for almost 100 years. So, but this is a big group of Federation power that you guys can bring to bear on this situation. The Admiral explains to you that you're going to go in on a triple and then 2 picket formation of waves of attacks. So how most of the arcs on Federation starships work is there's a 270-degree arc of fire on your phasers at the forward phaser bank, and then a 270-degree arc on the back. So both phasers can't be brought to bear forward or back, but there's an overlap on the side. And shooting from the side is known in the Federation as broadsiding. So what happens is they're having 3 ships come in at the Borg, and they're going to break off all broadside, and then 2 ships are going to come in, relieve them as they're broadsiding, and they're going to open fire, and then 3 more will come in after that, then 2 more, then 3 more, then 2 more, then 3 more, then 2 more. And they are pretty confident that this is a tactic that they've used to defeat incredibly powerful things in Federation history, so that they're very, very excited about stopping this. Unfortunately, the Enterprise, due to its previous battle with the Borg, have not... we lost Derek. The Enterprise, due to their previous battle with the Borg, was not able to be there for... Hi, Derek. Frozen Derek, anyways. Was not be able to be there for the battle, but you guys are all ready for combat. It's probably the first combat that you've all seen. So why don't we start with you, Vanessa? Vanessa, what are you doing right now as the battle is about to begin? You're waiting for the Borg to get to your area.
I'm making sure I have not only myself, but probably other people who work in the medical bay with me, all with medical tricorders, all with different first aid supplies to patch up and seal things, and ready for major burns just in case things explode, because things like that happen on ships all the time. I don't know why there's always so many sparks, but there are. So
many sparks.
Yeah. So I'm ready for it. I'm also just kind of making sure that we're situated in different places, so if things fall down, that we can all get to people. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Derek.
Hello.
Okay, Michael. Now you are at the con. You're at con, and Timothy's at navigation. You've just because you're on the bridge at this point as the flight control officer, you just heard the briefing by the admiral to the bridge. Your captain is giving orders and doing some stuff, and your first officer, Mr. Sisko, is wandering around making sure everybody's spirits are lifted and they're making sure they're ready. What are you doing?
I'm anxiously sitting at my console, feeling incredibly anxious, waiting for things to start.
Yes.
Feeling like I can't really move, can't really do much. I just have to wait in this incredible anxiety.
You glance over to your right, and to your right, your navigation officer is sitting there with his Klingon haircut and the unmistakable bulge of a mek'leth at his side next to his Type 2 phaser. And he seems what?
Well, he seems pretty gung-ho.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to let you talk.
No, I am pretty gung-ho. You see me there. I'm working. I'm plotting entrance vectors and exit vectors, where we're going to reform with our picket to do another strike. I'm planning all this out, and not just like I'm planning like several different ones just in case.
Absolutely.
Then I can pull them up and hit them, and then they'll feed right to you in like seconds.
You do see your friend, the con officer, Celis, looking at you while you're furiously doing this. Do you say anything to him?
I look over, I slap him on his shoulder and goes, "Fear not, today is a good day to die."
I was hoping you'd say that.
I am not reassured by his reassurance.
All right, Jake, Cirid or Kirid?
Kirid.
You're then assigned down in engineering. What are you doing?
Unlike Michael's character, Kirid is pacing like a caged animal. He feels useless. At the Academy, engineering was the only class that he had to take over again because he is so bad with engineering. He couldn't tell a block spanner from a hydroplane. He doesn't know what he's doing. He knows that he was sent down there essentially to haul tools and essentially be a mule for them, and he's just very frustrated.
Hey, you can do quick analysis in a combat situation. You are a science guy.
Yeah, but this isn't science. This is engineering. There is a difference.
Absolutely.
Ask him to build something, and you'll see.
Great. Okay, so Derek, you are kind of between the sick bay and the engineering area in this hallway, and you've got a phaser rifle. What are you doing?
I'm waiting with bated breath. I know these things can appear anywhere at any point, so I'm just ready.
Okay. So the combat begins. Everyone immediately knows by the fact that you go to red alert. There's a woo, and the captain says, "We are engaging the Borg. Prepare for battle. Everyone, battle stations, shields up!" And you hear background yelling in the bridge. They immediately turn off that, and away you go. Now, where in your guys' position, you are waiting for your turn in the picket. You can see the battle on the view screen, and the first wave of 3 goes in. It's a Miranda class and 2 Excelsiors. They decided to give the Excelsiors, which are kind of like big, beefy, front-of-the-line ships, the first run at the Borg. Let me tell you, things do not go super well for that first picket. Instead of being able to trail off, one of them is caught in a tractor beam. Another one starts getting cut open by that cutting laser weapon that's happening. Another one just gets blown up and the front half explodes. The 2 come in afterwards for the picket, and it starts a general chaos. Immediately, you guys are called in and firing starts. You come up to your point in the picket, and you're caught in a tractor beam, and the whole ship shudders to a sudden stop. The engineers are running around immediately, and they're trying to jack up the power and pull out of this thing when some kind of energy weapon blasts the front of the ship, and there's a huge explosion. And as Vanessa predicted, there are showers of sparks going off everywhere. You guys in the bridge take the worst of it. Immediately, things start exploding, and some support beams that are holding up the roof start collapsing in. You look over as you're knocked down to the ground, and you see your captain has been thrown down dead. The tactical officer, a Bolian, is also on the ground, but it looks like he's okay. And Cisco starts crawling to his feet and yelling, "Damage report! Damage report!" And no one is answering him. He looks over to you guys and he says, "Get downstairs and get me a damage report now!"
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Marcus jumps up and starts heading for the turbo lift. Celis, what do you do? Celis, we have no sound.
Did he mute himself, or is he?
I did mute myself.
Uh,
I am going with him.
Okay, so you guys both jump up and run for the turbo lift. As you guys are heading down in the turbo lift, the whole thing is rocked by another explosion, and the turbo lift stalls. What are you going to do about that?
I'm going to pry the door open.
Okay. You're going to try to pry the door open. So it sounds to me like that is going to be a fitness plus engineering test. So this is our first task of the game. How tasks work is that you add both of those things together. And so what's your fitness?
9.
And what is your engineering?
2.
2. So that it gives you an 11. What you need to do is you take 2d20 and you roll on that, and you try to get below that. Or no, it's 1d20. One for every dice? How does that work again? I'm going to go with 2d20 until I figure that out. And so
Good call.
this is a difficulty 1 task. So you need 1 success, right?
All right.
But you need to roll underneath that. If you roll a 1, it is counted as 2 successes.
Right.
Roll a natural 20, then it is counted as a complication. If you have a focus that you can apply to the scene, then every success counts as 2. Do you have any focuses that might apply to the scene, Tim?
Not that I can see.
Okay, so then it's a straight roll, d20s.
ooh,
I got a 1!
natural
You got
one?
a 1, so that's 3 successes. So what
Wow.
that does mean, here, let me just, this, that means you guys now have 2 momentum that you can spend. Now, momentum can buy extra dice. They can do different things to try to create advantages, but primarily they're buying extra dice to make things easier on you. But you now have these 2 spendable assets that you can use. Fair enough? All right, so you just run over there, and you open this turbo lift door. Luckily, it did stop kind of right on the right area, but it jammed with that last explosion, so it opens up. The first thing you see is Derek. Now, Derek, as you're standing there, the explosions are happening. There's not much for you to do as you're waiting for everything. You're just kind of in that situation waiting to see what's going to go down. Fortunately or unfortunately for you, something does happen. Immediately in front of you, 2 Borg drones beam in to the hallway. So they beam into the hallway. They're at the far end of the hallway. Then it's Derek, and then it is both Michael and Tim. Now, all of you are staring down at these 2 Borg drones that just appear, and they start walking. One of them is walking towards sick bay, and the other one starts walking towards the door to engineering. What are you guys going to do?
Well, I probably should go after the one going to engineering.
Okay.
Fire at it.
So what are you going to do?
I'll shoot it with my rifle, my
Okay.
laser rifle.
Probably didn't enter your rifle stats in because you didn't know you were going to have it.
Nope.
Now what page is equipment on?
Weapons are on page 192 is when it begins.
Good, I was on 198. There we go. So, Derek, why don't you open up your character sheet, and you can put, essentially, as a security officer, basically anytime you want, you can assign yourself a phaser rifle, unlike most people. So, we're going to just get you to write down the stats for the phaser rifle now, okay?
Okay.
So, this is a phaser type 3
Okay.
under your weapons section.
Yeah.
And it is a ranged attack. That little Star Trek Delta, you're going to have put a 2 there. It's a 4.
Okay.
It is a 2-handed weapon. And it has the qualities of accurate and charge.
Accurate and charge?
That's right. So charge means it has an adaptable energy supply, allowing its potency to be scaled to various levels. If the character performs prepare minor action before attacking with this weapon, they may add one of the following weapon damage effects to the attack: area, intense, piercing 2, or vicious 1. Okay?
Okay.
And accurate means the weapon is especially precise, often incorporating additional sights that allow the user to use the weapon more accurately. If the character performs the aim minor action before making an attack with this weapon, then any number of d20s may be re-rolled instead of the normal benefits of aiming. It's pretty awesome, actually. So have you put that stuff into your character sheet?
I got, accurate and charge, and then you have area, intense, piercing 2, vicious 2, is that right?
Well, that's what you get because of the charge effect. So
Okay.
those are choices you have.
Oh, choices, okay.
Yeah. So I mean that means like I set it to kill. That means as the vicious quality. I set it to different settings will do different things, right? I want to pierce through the person's whatever. That's piercing of 2, that sort of thing. Fair
Well,
enough.
Yeah, I gotcha.
There's a note about the damage, though. All weapons gain an additional delta value equal to their damage rating equal to the security discipline of the character.
That's right.
Okay, so
So in order to fire, it is a control and security task.
Control, okay. So I add those 2 together, is that correct?
That's right. And
Okay.
firing at something is a opposed action, but it's a difficulty of 1. So you add those 2 together. What is your control?
My control is 11 and my security is 5.
Hey, so that's a 16. You were born for this.
Yeah.
All right. So fire away. You need to roll 2d20.
Okay. Roll.
Lovely. So both what you have 1 success Oh no, 2 successes. 2 successes with that. So you fire and hit, but he gets to make a. I want to say a control. Let's see. Okay, so. Oh, for a ranged attack is not an opposed task. Sorry. The difficulty of this task okay. So you fire and you then do your damage. So so damage is your 4 challenge dice.
Okay, I don't quite understand that. My 4 challenge dice?
So there should be a little button next to where you input the qualities for the weapon under your weapons, and you should just be able to press that button. Remember when Michael was just hitting buttons and kept firing his disruptor?
Yeah. Sorry, so this is in my weapons thing under my character sheet, right?
Yeah, and so that little delta, that should just be a button that you can press.
Yeah, I just clicked on it. Now type of attack, input value. There's melee and ranged.
So it's ranged.
Yep. Submit. Number of D22.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely. Okay. So, oh, I see.
He completely re-rolled the attack because that's what that button does.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It does everything.
So how do we do damage on this thing?
It says damage new item. I don't know. It wants you to wreck your new stuff. I don't know why.
This is why we can't have nice things.
It's true.
So did you put a damage value into the damage?
I don't. When it doesn't really give me. So it just asked me for the input value number of D20. That's it.
Okay, let me just see.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll be able to do better, but
Because I put the 4 next to the little Starfleet Delta. That's what we wanted, right?
it doesn't do damage. You should be able to, by the way, everyone, so control and security submit to do a task as well. Should be able to do that from your character sheet as well. See that?
Oh, so if I click on control and do input value, I can select discipline, which would be security, right? Is that?
That's
Ooh,
right.
I gotta try this. This sounds like fun.
And I hit submit. Number of D22. Applicable focus? No.
Just like that. So that is your firing task, and the second one, when you hit that button, should be your damage, right? Now, the only question is I don't know why it says new item under damage.
Okay. I'm not seeing where you see damage on here. That's the little Starfleet Delta.
No, see, in the chat log,
Oh,
so it says damage, but it says new item instead of anything that's useful.
If you scroll over where it says new item, it says rolling 4 times challenge dice equals new item plus new item plus new item plus new item.
oh,
This is a
I
problem with
see.
roll 20. It's not programmed to deal with these dice.
Oh, I see.
No, it is programmed to deal with these dice. We put a new piece of code into this so we could do challenge dice. It is actually supposed to do this.
We can use regular dice in the meantime. There's the key for it in the rule book. 1 through 6 can apply for the challenge dice.
Yeah, why don't we try that?
1 and 2 are equal to 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is nothing. 5 and 6 are equal to 1 plus the challenge symbol.
So why don't you? So that's 4d6 that you roll for your damage.
So I should roll 4d6?
Let's try that for now until we can figure this out.
Sure. Okay.
So
That is a 1 and 1 challenge symbol.
So the challenge symbol means what?
No idea.
Okay. So I'm just going to look that up then. So all weapons gain an additional damage dice to their damage rating equal to the security discipline of their character, so they should have rolled more dice than that. But let's figure out how to do this. So challenge dice on page 4. Which doesn't actually describe how to use challenge dice, it just says that they're a thing. Great, thank you for that.
When a character suffers damage, you roll the number of challenge dice for the attack, or for the attack's damage rating. The total rolled is the amount of damage the attack inflicts. If the target has any resistance dice, in other words, from cover, armor, etc., roll those and add the total roll to any static resistance the character has. The total is the character's total resistance for the attack. Reduce the total damage rolled by 1 for each point of total resistance. If there's 1 or more damage remaining after this reduction, and unless they have any resistance, there's 1 damage for this. The character loses 1 point of stress for each point of remaining damage. The character may also suffer an injury if 1 or more of the following conditions occurs. 5 or more damage from a single attack, reduced to 0 stress, etc., etc.
Okay. So, in this particular case, you got how many points of damage, then?
1.
1 point of damage, but we should also... What is your security discipline?
What's the value of my security discipline?
Yeah.
5.
So you should be rolling 5 more dice.
Roll 5 more d6s?
That's right.
Okay.
How much
2
damage
more.
is that, Jake?
That's 2 more. 1s and 2s are equal to their number. 3s and 4s are a 0. 5s and 6 are equal to a 1, plus the challenge symbol, which I'm not sure what that does in combat.
I'm looking at the quick start guide, and it says that the challenge symbol gives you an effect.
Right.
But it doesn't define what an effect is.
So the effect is any of those things that I said. All of those choices, right? So if you wanted to do any of those, like, I want to go wide range, I want to have it on kill and do vicious, which gives it an extra damage dice, right? Or I want to do piercing, which overcomes 2 points of its resistance, right? Any of those things. So with an effect, you can choose those. What would you like to do as an effect?
I think I'd like to do vicious. I want to take this thing down.
Okay, so that's an additional damage dice. Roll another d6.
Okay.
Or no more damage, I think.
I think Vicious just adds 1 point of damage. Vicious X adds X points of damage.
Okay. So let's say that that's true. Vicious adds 1 point of damage. So then we are a total of 4 points of damage at this point. So you probably drop to a knee and shoulder your Type 3 phaser. You fire that Type 3 phaser, and immediately hit the Borg. As soon as you hit the Borg, now they get an opportunity to try to. It's not an opposed task with ranged, I think. Nope.
No, it's not an opposed task.
Okay, so I get to then roll a challenge dice based for every Borg that was hit. And so we're going to do that. Is 5/6 in effect?
Yes.
So you hit that Borg. It has some stress, and you have hurt it, so it notices you and turns to you immediately and starts moving on you. But it doesn't look like it's been hurt very much. It does have that exoplating, and even though you fired at it and hit it pretty hard on kill, it's coming at you. One thing that you did do, however, that is important to know is you just did a lethal attack, which gives me 2 points of threat. If you weren't threatened enough by the fact that now a Borg is really interested in making your liver come out, now you get this, like, Klingon symbol. So that is Derek. So typically during combat, the players always start initiative, and then we kind of trade back and forth, right? So what is going to happen right now is the Borg is going to start walking at Derek and just going to attack you melee. So he's going to backhand you with that big Borg arm of his. That means that he is going to make a task that is... let's see, melee is... that page?
Daring plus security.
Right. Daring plus security. The Borg are pretty daring, shockingly so. And daring plus security. So they have 9 daring and 2 security. I'm just going to roll 2d20 because that'll be easier for me right now. And so that is 1 success. So the Borg comes up and bashes you in the face with an unarmed strike unless, but this is a opposed task. So you can now make a daring plus security task to kind of dive out the way or whatever.
Well, I'll dive out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll smack him with the butt of my rifle.
Well, right now he's attacking you. You're just defending yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll jump out of the way.
Okay. So do that task.
So
That's daring plus security.
So that's a 9 and a 5, so that's 14. And
Right.
now do I roll 2d20?
You can roll it using your character sheet. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, we're all learning.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay. Clickable focus. Not really.
One success.
One success.
Success.
But a complication.
A complication
because you rolled a 20.
arises.
Whoa.
So the complication is that what he is going to do is take... I'm going to do this... I'm going to spend both my threat right now and have him take a second task for his attack. And you see from his other arm 2 tubes come out, and they're aiming right for your neck. Okay? So this is an additional melee attack. And so he does get 2 successes on that attack. So as you come in and you get hit, first you get the damage dice, which is, let's see,
Does he do an additional defense since this is a separate attack?
Yes, you should do an additional success. He has 2 successes against you. Good point.
You can buy another die with a momentum.
Which, since he's literally trying to inject you with the simulation nano right now, probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Sure, let's do that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll delete that, so you get an additional dice.
So which dice do I roll on this one? Or these are the D6s, aren't they?
No, this is the same thing. Daring plus security.
Okay.
But then you get to roll an additional d20 after you do that.
Okay. So roll 2 d20 now and then roll 1 more. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two successes. Well done.
3 successes. You got a 1.
Oh,
Ooh.
nicely done.
So
Nicely done.
I like
that
how-
means you do get back a point of momentum, and you will not be assimilated today, sir.
I'm very happy about that.
So you
That
probably,
would've been
as the it comes in and just smashes you, he is going to still do the attack for the unarmed strike, which did, I think, hit you. But then the nodules come out and they do not hit you. So he's going to do the damage for the unarmed strike, which is 3 plus 2, so it's a 5d6 for damage. Huzzah. So that means that he's done, I think, 3 points of damage to you.
Yes.
And 2 effects, right?
Correct. So you can get piercing 2 or...
So with the unarmed strike that he has, he does 3 points of damage to you, so that's 3 stress that you'll take off.
So, okay.
And you are now knocked down. So you would have to take a minor action to get up. So that's the Borg drone's turn. Next up, we have... Who would like to go next, Michael or Timothy?
Oh,
Can't hear you,
What do you
Tim.
think, Michael?
Timothy, I think that you are probably better suited to going and fighting a Borg.
What do you mean? You're perfectly suited for this. Come on.
That's the thing. I was thinking about just running back upstairs, but you do your thing, and we'll figure out what I'm going to do after, depending on how many of you are dead.
Wow.
Oh,
All
Captain,
right.
my captain.
Yeah.
It's hashtag leadership.
Okay. All right. So I see this guy. I see the security officer, and I see the Borg standing over him. The security officer just got his bell rung. I'm guessing. I'm gonna say that my reaction would be it's too dangerous for me to fire my phaser. I draw the mek'leth and I run in, screaming, and I'm gonna take a swipe at the Borg.
Okay, so a mek'leth, you can put this on your character sheet right now. So the mek'leth is a melee type weapon that has a 2 damage rating with a quality of vicious 1 and is a one-handed weapon. Okay. And fun fact, the Borg cannot adapt to giant chunks of steel stabbing them. Which is good, because I'll give you a hint at what the effect was that the Borg earned when trying to when getting shot the first time. So you run up to this Borg. The Borg was just minding his own business, just doing his own thing, when this pissed off Andorian woman decides to get all up in his business and shoot him with a phaser rifle. So he walks over and he smashes her. That knocks her down. Going down. He's trying to assimilate, and I'm picturing that that Ithrosi is puts the phaser rifle up and is kind of like struggling with this thing as it's trying to make these nodules come down towards its neck. And you run up with your mechleth and just go to town. Now, this is a daring plus security attack. You can do that in your character sheet.
Yeah. Plus security. Oh yeah, I have an applicable focus. Martial arts. Klingon martial arts.
Klingon martial arts is an applicable focus. So that does mean that if you get a success, it'll count as 2. But you can do that in your attack. It'll ask you if you have an applicable focus.
Yep, I got it. That's what reminded me.
Perfect. Great. So you run up and do 2 successes. It's going to try to kind of... It's still fighting with this one arm trying to assimilate for Ithrosi, and it puts up its other big working arm with all the spinny bits on it, and it's trying to block your mechleth with it. So that is a security plus daring roll for itself, which, as you recall, its daring is 9, its security is 2, so it's an 11. So that is 1 success, so you do succeed on stabbing it with the mechleth. And as we have discovered, certainly the Borg is not awesome at dealing with giant chunks of steel stuck through its body. So how much damage are you doing then? It does have the vicious. You get a bonus of 1 damage, but I think the mechleth has 2 plus your security in challenge dice to roll out.
All right. 2 plus my security. That'd be 6. Get this works. Nope, didn't work. Okay. Oh.
We can hear you just going, but nothing else.
Sorry. I was trying to do something up on my character sheet, but it didn't work.
We'll have to figure that out. Did put down the API code.
Right, so
you can roll all those d6s and we can try to count them up. I think that is no damage.
no, I got
Incorrect. That is 11
That
damage.
is a lot of damage.
yeah, 11.
2s are worth 2.
Yeah.
1s are worth 1. 5s and 6s are worth 1 with a challenge symbol. 3s and 4s are worthless.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
He literally murdered Borg.
Yeah.
Murdered the hell out of that poor guy. All he wanted to do was propagate his species, and you just went up and stabbed him with that giant mechleth. Oh, okay. So you run up and stab him. So he has a resistance of 3 because of his exoplating. So that removes it down to an 8. And so he takes 8 points of stress. At this point, you are done, and now it is on to the second Borg drone. The second Borg drone ignores all of this. This is of no consequence to him. Doesn't want to get involved. He's just walking down this hallway and people are being weird about it. So he just is going to walk over to the sick bay doors and they open up in front of him. Vanessa, you are standing there. I mean, casualties have been streaming in, but they had stopped as people come down this hallway, see a couple of Borg drones go the other direction. You see the doors open and a Borg drone is standing there. You can see out in the hallway that there is a fight, and you can see Marcus has just stabbed this poor Borg drone. He's up to his hand in Borg guts right now, and he looks surprisingly happy about it. Like, it's a little disconcerting, I think, how excited he is that he's nearly dying fighting the Borg, going down in glorious battle. But Ithrasi is definitely fighting off the same Borg, but that Borg looks like it is a hurting unit. This Borg, however, seems just interested in coming and visiting. So it is going to walk in, and what it's going to do is it just walks in and it smashes its hand into the first panel it sees, and there's some sparks and lightning. And so what it's going to do, it's going to attempt to take over this panel. So that is going to be a control and engineering task for it, which control is 11 and engineering is a 1. So it's not going well. It's sitting there and it's trying to get through the firewalls that are up right now because of Red Alert. What do you do? It's your turn next.
Holy. Do I have a phaser or anything like?
Yeah, you were issued with a Type 2 phaser. Yeah. And that's the kind of one that has the little handle.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. I'm going to. Oh shoot. I'm going to try and shoot it, I guess.
All right.
I don't want it getting into our system.
So you're going to want to write down Type 2 phaser. I mean, in the end, this is the normal type of phaser senior staff would get anyways. So in your weapons section, Type 2 phaser you're going to want to have down there.
Mm-hmm.
It is standard issue, so that's nice. It is ranged. It has 3 damage dice. It's one-handed, and its quality is charge. So if you get an effect, you can be like, I'm going to do a wide angle, or it's going to be vicious, or it's going to be piercing, or whatever. So firing it is a control plus security task.
Okay. Control, I have 11, and security, I have 1, so that's 12.
Yeah, you can do that through your character sheet.
Oh, I can? Okay.
Yep.
So do I click on, which one do I click on? Control?
You can click on control and it'll walk you through the process.
Okay. Wait. Okay, control and security. Try. And 2 D-die? 2 D20? Okay. Submit. Applicable focus?
Probably not, Doctor.
No.
2 successes. Well done. All right.
Nice.
So what is your security?
11?
1.
Oh, no, 1. Sorry. That's my other.
Good try.
Also, the Doctor's a ninja, everyone. All right. So your security is 1, so you can add 1 dice to the damage of this Type 2 phaser, which is a 3, so you roll 4 damage dice.
4d6. Okay. I can do that.
So that is 2 damage and an effect.
3 damage and an effect. All effect dice have a 1 rating on them.
3 damage and an effect.
Okay. I'm going to go with piercing.
Okay, so piercing of 2 because it does have exoplating. So you fire through.
Mm-hmm.
How much damage is it? Like 3, and piercing of 2.
So its resistance should be at 1, meaning 2 damage.
Yeah. So perfect. So you do fire at it, and it is certainly going to roll immediately. Or wait, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Wrong dice. and it takes the damage. All right. So you fire this phaser, and it kind of looks over at you and kind of continues to ignore you and goes about its work. Michael, at this point in the scene, you're still kind of you were standing shoulder to shoulder with Marcus. He burst open the door and pulled his mek'leth and growled and yelled and ran at this drone that's attacking your friend and stabbed it terribly. And he's kind of like baring his teeth and growling at this drone. Meanwhile, the other drone, the doors to sickbay opened up, and you see phaser fire coming out of sickbay as this is happening. What do you do?
So I think we were at least initially concerned that the drones were headed to engineering or sickbay, correct?
One was going in either direction. The one that was going to engineering, your Andorian friend Ithrasi stopped, and now Marcus is assisting her.
Okay. So I probably want to head down to sickbay to assist our dear doctor.
Okay.
Now, question.
Yeah.
Am I armed?
Yes, you have a Type 2 phaser, but you
Okay.
you probably aren't allowed to use your disruptor, not until you're
Yeah.
captain.
I feel like that's a captain perk.
Yeah, that is totally a captain perk. You have your
Alright.
standard issue Type 2 phaser. So the Type 2 phaser, ranged attack, 3 damage dice, and has the quality of charge. Okay. So you run past Marcus and Ithrasi, who are fighting that drone, and you run into the doorway. You see the drone that is working on this panel is looked over at your doctor friend, who just is firing away at it, and you come in behind it, and you're going to fire at it in the back. Boldly and bravely shooting it in the back. That is a control and security task.
It should be noted it's much safer than shooting it in the front.
That is fair. That is fair, and you are a cautious thinker.
All right, so control and security.
Right.
Okay.
Though I will note, shooting in the back is without honor.
Safety first.
He's a Bajoran. He's like, half my people right now are terrorists. I'm not worried about this.
So control and security?
Control and security, yep.
Okay. So select a discipline, security, submit. Input value, number of D20 is?
2.
2, okay. Applicable focus. So we did select a Borg specialist focus in
Yeah, I'm going to say that does apply. You know enough about the Borg to hit them. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to say no, it doesn't, because this is the incident that caused you to want to learn about the Borg.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, thank you for keeping me honest. So
Nice.
Why don't you just shoot away without a focus?
Okay.
2 successes! Huzzah! Roll your damage, which is 3 dice plus your security.
Okay, so hang on. I keep on closing the window. Okay, so 3 dice plus security. Security is 2, so what would I be rolling here?
So your security is 2, and the damage dice is 3, so that's 5 dice total.
Okay. So what would...
So if you roll 5d6.
Okay, thank you.
So if you click on the side, you see a little d20 that's on the left side of your screen on that little, those little panels. It'll open up a dice roller for you, so you don't have to roll them one at a time. And if you open that up, you'll notice advanced roll, and you can choose the amount and type of dice.
That is what I'm seeing. So 5d6.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Awesome. So 3 points of damage for those 3 ones, and 5 and 6, or then the 3 and the 4 count for nothing. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's 3 points of damage total. and you don't get an effect. So you fire at the Borg, and nothing happens. It just ignores you completely. Its exo plating completely absorbs your what do you call it?
My attack.
Thank you. Oops. And now we are. Okay. So at this point, we are going to go back to the top of the round. At the top of the round, we have our Andorian security officer who's struggling with their Type 3 phaser, and is trying to fight off this drone. Marcus has come and is just furiously stabbing it in the side with Marcus's Mek'leth, which you've never been so excited to see a Mek'leth in your entire life. So, Ithrasi, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna try and throw it to the side to get it off of me.
Okay, so you're kind of just pushing it off, and you're going to do kind of a melee attack. That is a daring plus security attack.
Okay.
It does not seem to work.
No.
It does not seem to work, so you're trying to push this person off of you, and it's just not going well. At this point, the drone that you're fighting goes. He's struggling with you. He's looking at Marcus quizzically in the eye as, like, his life's blood is pouring out at Marcus's feet. And he touches a panel on his chest, and he just and disappears. So now we move on to Marcus. Marcus, the guy that you were stabbing has beamed away. At this point, you hear Cisco do a broadcast across the ship, and he's yelling, "Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All hands, abandon ship!" What do you do, Marcus?
All right. So can I see the other drone in the sick bay?
Can you see the other drone in the sick bay?
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, we're being watched by Dude762. And I just want to give a shout out to Dude762. And while we're on the topic of people that might be watching, I should say, for anybody that has made it to this point or is watching this on YouTube, we do have a $20 gift card for Modifius to give away. And all you have to do is either in the chat on the Twitch stream live or in the comments section of the YouTube channel, all you have to do is say what your favorite on-screen canon Star Trek character is of all time. And we will choose from amongst any of the people that answered, and if you answer correctly, we'll be in contact with you, and you get $20 Modifius gift or coupon code, not a gift card. All right, sorry, Marcus, a commercial break there. So go ahead and tell me what you were
I haven't
going to
actually
do.
said I'm done anything. I'm just asking if I can see the drone that's in the sick bay.
You can't see the drone that's in the sick bay. It's kind of gone into the doorway. The doors are still open. You're not sure if it's because the proximity sensor is still going off. You do know that that Celis is kind of standing out in the hallway and just firing madly into sickbay, which is an awesome picture for any Federation officer. And you see other phaser fire happening in sickbay itself, but you can't see the drone.
Okay, I'm going to stand beside what's his face? Michael, what's your character's name again?
Celis.
Celis.
Celis. Okay, I'm going to stand beside Celis. I'm going to draw my own phaser with my free hand. I'm gonna fire in sickbay as well. I'm sure once I step beside him, I'll see the drone and I'll fire.
Right. So you run up with your Type 2 phaser. Do you have that written down yet?
I did not get that written down.
Okay.
No.
So just write down Type 2 phaser. It's ranged, has a damage quality of 3, and it has damage of 3, and a quality of charge. Okay. All right, so you roll up next to him, and you also start firing madly into sickbay, as one does. All I want in the world is a complication where Marcus vaporizes an injured Federation officer. Today was a good day to die for you. So why don't we try to fire? So this was a control and security task to fire at this Borg.
Okay.
So that is
Oh,
one
no.
success. So you do get. Why does it turn it red?
Because it's
Complication.
Oh
you
no.
rolled a d20.
Oh,
Not
no.
20.
So you're
Vaporizing
firing
time.
into this, and you do get to roll damage, certainly. So roll your security plus 3 is your damage.
Right. Yes, we're good.
Oh, that's a lot of dice.
Huzzah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage
With effect 2.
with an effect of 2. So you can choose, because of charge, you can choose an effect. So piercing, area, intense, vicious. What would you like to choose?
Fuzzy bunnies. Fuzzy bunnies get released. Oh, nice fuzzy bunnies.
Well, I'm going to be going vicious to take down this.
So it is set on
honorable
kill then.
drone. Yes.
Oh no.
I would have done area
Would you?
personally. I mean, you're shooting into the sick bay. Why not cover as big of an area as possible?
So I get 2 points of threat because you're attacking lethally.
Yeah.
And so you definitely fire in. You do, with Vicious, you do an extra point of damage. So how much damage is that in total?
2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10.
10 total?
Yeah.
Okay, and he has a resistance of 3, so that's 7 points of damage that is going to be done to him. And he kind of staggers back and looks immediately, and he disengages from the computer and turns to face the two of you who are shooting at him, and the doctor is still firing madly at him. While this is happening, though, Marcus, you do notice that you did hit a injured person in sickbay with your phaser and vaporized their arm.
Well, at least it was their arm, but
It was
still.
like a glancing blow.
Damn it!
Yeah,
was gone
like
while
a
before he was
micrometer over to the side, and you would have disintegrated this person completely. Okay, after Marcus, I think is this Borg, right?
Well, what about me?
It goes back and forth, right? So this Borg hasn't gone yet.
Oh, okay. He's got to respond to.
Well, not necessarily respond. The PCs typically start, then an enemy goes, then the PCs, then an enemy, and so on, as long as you can go back and forth.
Oh.
And so now it's kind of the Borg's turn to go. So the Borg himself, he's going to hit his button, and he's also going to beam out of the situation. And instead, you start to hear a bombardment start hitting the Saratoga. They're like, you know what? That's too hard to board it, so we are just going to blast it out of the sky. At this point, I'm assuming you all kind of look at each other, grab injured personnel,
Yeah.
and start heading for the escape pods. And at that moment, we will end this scene. How's it going, everyone?
Somehow we survived the Borg.
Yes, somehow you did survive the Borg.
Is Tim going to face any disciplinary action over vaporizing that guy's arm, or?
That's a great question. So, Marcus, did you face any disciplinary action over vaporizing that person's arm? Or given that 39 ships were destroyed in that conflict and many, many, many Federation officers were killed, did they kind of just chalk it up to mistakes will be made?
I'm thinking that's probably why I'm a lieutenant commander, whereas everyone else has probably been promoted ahead of me.
All right. So yeah, this is why you're the third officer on the Bonaventure, rather than third officer in con, rather than first officer, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you were slated possibly to
Second
be
officer, yeah.
outranking Celis, but this kind of derailed your career plans a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. However, the battle was glorious, and if this were a Klingon ship, no one would have held you responsible for that. And to be frank, you were not the only one firing phasers into sickbay. All right. So at this point, we are going to flash forward in time. So as far as flashing forward in time goes, I just want to give you some current events as an update. So first contact with the Dominion has just occurred at outside of Deep Space Nine through the wormhole, with the capture of its commanding officer, who you all know as your former first officer, Benjamin Sisko, and the wiping out of New Bajor, a Bajoran colony that had been set up in the Gamma Quadrant, and the subsequent combat and final destruction of the Galaxy-class starship, the USS Odyssey, in combat with the Gem Hadar. This event has sent shockwaves throughout the Federation. It's now assumed that war with the Dominion is inevitable. In addition to this, the Maquis, a terrorist organization in that area, in the demilitarized zone with the Cardassian Empire, is active, attacking shipping. So that is what's like in the Federation news. So I want everyone to take a moment and think about what has happened in your careers between Wolf 359 and now. Where were you serving? Because after that, the crew of the Saratoga that did survive was split up, right? Sisko went to the Utopia Planitia shipyards and so on and so forth. Why don't we start with Marcus? Marcus, the human that thinks he's a Klingon, what did you do for the past, what is that, 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Something like that? Tim, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself. I would be trying to regain my honor from disintegrating someone's arm. And I would probably have been assigned to like a small frigate that was out in the backwaters of nowhere, and serving as best as I could without grumbling or complaining. And just doing the best job that I could.
So what kind of assignment were you given? I'm not clear. that? You're assigned to the backwaters. I mean,
Yeah,
as opposed
yeah.
to what you're going to get on the Bonaventure. But
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? Were you
Like,
assigned to a starship again? That is the most
Yeah.
desirable task in Starfleet.
okay. It was okay. I was probably assigned to random Starbase.
Okay.
And not a very interesting one, like one like smack dab in the middle of the Federation where nothing happens.
Right. Right. So you're spending all your time like doing VIP duty and managing scientific expeditions and resupplying starships that come through the area. Really, really terribly boring quartermaster type stuff. But you did obviously a good enough job to get promoted several times, and you moved up the ranks, but you're nowhere near where you thought you would be. And that time spent away from a starship certainly didn't help.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk to Bassa Item.
Hi, just making sure I'm not muted. Okay, good. I'm good.
You're very, very quiet, though.
Okay, I will speak up then. So what I was doing is I was on another small, more science-based starship with my childhood friend Autumn, who served on the bridge. We were both Trill. She was a joined Trill, and it was my chance to use some of that science training that I knew from my parents growing up, and just a chance to kind of get away from all the things that happened with the Borg. I didn't want to be anywhere near anything going on. I started getting a little bit paranoid about everything that could happen or could have happened, and my mind kind of went over these things again and again. As we were out, we were in charge of kind of putting down a skirmish with some Romulans and local culture in the area we were in. And during a battle, my childhood friend Autumn, with all the sparks on the bridge, she went down. And we were faced with the fact that we would lose the symbiote if we did not immediately transplant it into me, even though I was clearly not the initiate or the Trill designed or should have been decided upon by any council on my home world. So that's when I became joined, and so that was a major change in my life. And I don't know how well I'm doing with it, but it is happening.
Yeah, you were joined not because you were a successful initiate, but because of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, why don't we move on to Kirid Hex?
Well, in the great battle that was Wolf 359, he spent his entire time assisting Engineer Ensign Randy by handing him his hydro spanner and his block. But he did that so well that he received a promotion. And he served as third officer in the battle against the Maquis. And receiving this promotion, he was put in charge of away teams during reconnaissance, and it was there that he led his small force against a large force of Maquis in a great battle and defeated them very, very concisely.
Excellent.
And so he spent his time fighting the Maquis.
And was it during this period where you got your injury?
Yes. No, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been, but it would have been after fighting the Maquis.
Yeah, it wasn't during that battle, but it was during the period between Wolf 359 and today.
Yes.
Okay. Ithrasi. The brave Ithrasi that took no shits and went directly after the Borg drone, and prioritized engineering over sickbay, which was an interesting choice. I mean, there was no bad choice there, but I thought that was interesting. What have you been up to since Wolf 359?
Well, I became a security officer on another starship for pretty much the duration. Worked on various away missions. I really that fight with the Borg really shook me. So I also took up an interest in projectile weapons over particle weapons. But that's another story. It's just a minor hobby of mine. But yeah, just aboard another starship, taking as many away missions as possible to try and expose myself to as many environments and scenarios as possible.
Great. So Athrasi is exposing herself all over the galaxy. So now on to Celis. Now, Celis, you obviously had a very successful career after Wolf 359. What were you doing?
Well, in a really fortuitous turn of events, I received a promotion, kind of up the command chain, to a first officer spot on a ship that no one wanted. After the destruction of the Saratoga, an old Miranda-class refit, I got reassigned to be first officer on an old Miranda-class refit. Assigned to chase down and aid, chase down the Maquis and aid the Cardassians in keeping the peace in the DMZ.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so
I feel really bad for you as a Bajoran.
just talk to HR about this, because terrible posting.
Oh, wow. But you obviously did well enough so that you ended up in that first officer position and earned enough accommodations so that you moved up the command chain. So that's pretty fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with you, Celis. Now, Celis, you have been... your ship, what's the name of the Miranda-class ship that you were assigned to?
Let's say the Miranda Shapcliffs was the Busan.
Okay, so it is ordered back to the Sol system, Sector 001, and the reason for it being called back is because of the destruction of the Odyssey, and you have been told that you're going to get a promotion and get your own ship. And so your captain is very excited for you, and you guys head back to Sol. You and a couple of other people on the ship are being reassigned, so you're going back to Starfleet headquarters. Unfortunately, as you get closer, what you get when you get some details on the assignment is you get your space frame's kind of record, and you realize that you're being assigned to... I mean, at first you think it's a mistake. It's an Excelsior-class refit called the USS Bonaventure. And according to the record that you get, it's been in the mothball fleet off of Saturn for the past 30 years. Previous to that, it actually had some of the best ship engines in Starfleet, and some of the prototypes that were developed for use on the Bonaventure then were moved on, and that project led to the project that led to the engineering drives in Galaxy-class starships. So even now, it would be considered amongst the best engines in Starfleet, but many other things aren't quite up to snuff. As you kind of make your way through the Sol system, the Miranda-class ship comes through and takes a little detour past the mothball fleet, where you can see an Excelsior-class ship completely powered down being towed towards Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, it's going to stop in at the Utopia Planitia shipyards, where it's going to get a full refit, but this is going to be your assignment. When you get to Earth, obviously say your goodbyes on the ship, and you beam down to Starfleet headquarters. where you are met by Commodore Josh Heath, and he says, "Captain, good to meet you."
Hello, Commodore.
Well, did you see your ship on the way in?
Sure did.
I tell you, I don't envy the mission that we have for you, but it needs to be done. I've been getting the crew roster requests that you have. They're very, very interesting. Several of these people served with you at Wolf 359, didn't they?
That's correct.
Some interesting choices here, especially Marcus Barton.
Yes, he did accidentally vaporize that crew member's arm. But it was an accident, so, we all make mistakes.
Interesting. All right, but third officer, and Khan, that's an interesting promotion for him.
Well, he hasn't vaporized anyone's arm since, so.
Excellent. All right, so you can the rest of your crew is starting to arrive, and so you can make yourself at home here. Now, each of you is going to report for duty. You've all been reassigned to the Bonaventure under Captain Celis Argel. When do you board? Do you arrive at Earth, or does the Bonaventure have to pick you up along the way?
I'll board at Earth.
Okay.
The ship I was serving on was in the system anyways.
Okay. What
Since I
about
was
you, Bassa?
I'll be at Alpha Centauri.
Okay. And as for you, Kirid?
I think that I'm going to be picked up. Sir, I think he would still be serving wherever he was fighting against the Maquis.
Okay. So you probably will be reassigned because they're going in the opposite direction, so they're probably going to send you in that direction, and you can meet along the way. Marcus, where are you going to be?
Since I'm in the interior of the Federation, I'm assuming that I would be able to get a shuttle ride back to Earth pretty quickly.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, Captain, are you hoping to meet your senior staff before you depart?
I was hoping to at least have an initial conversation with senior staff prior to departure.
Hey, so, Ithrasi, Marcus, and Bassa are all able to get to Earth, because I think Bassa, since you're at Alpha Centauri, you can probably also get a shuttle ride.
Sure.
So the only person that has to be picked up along the way, I guess, would be, I guess it would be Ithrasi that would be picked up along the way. Is that right? Everybody else can make it to Earth?
I think I was getting picked up along the way.
Oh, you. It was Kirid that was getting picked up. Everyone else can make it to Earth. So why don't we change the scene, and we'll have a scene where you guys start, you guys are all together at Starfleet headquarters, and this is a couple of weeks into the refit, and the USS Bonaventure is just about ready to leave dry dock after being in the mothball fleet for 30 years. Now, what your mission that you have been given is that you are going to be assigned to go to a binary system with 2 planets on a orbit around a single sun. The one planet, Castoria, has become a member of the Federation, and then in a surprise move has decided that they're going to vote 5 years on whether this whole Federation thing is working out. The Federation right now cannot have members leaving, right? So what they're going to do is they can't afford to send top of the line ships, so they're reactivating big parts of the mothball fleet, giving out a whole bunch of new commands, and sending people out to bolster the numbers and just up the numbers and get some experience out in the field with these space frames that have been in the mothball fleet. And you are one of them. So, why don't we start here with reading your captain's log?
Can do. Captain's log. We are assigned to demonstrate a Federation presence to the newly approved Federation member planet Castors, a world that is part of a binary planetary system on the edge of Orion space. Our first task is to transport over 200 Federation officials who are to be stationed on Castors to build upon this recent success, as well as to drop off cargo and report to Starbase 117 on our way. However, the Castorians have chosen to make their membership probationary, having a global plebiscite on membership again in 5 years' time. We are tasked with ensuring that they vote to remain in the Federation. No, computer, erase that. We are charged with ensuring the vote goes well and showing the flag of the Federation over the next 5 years. This is complicated by their ongoing rivalry and on-again, off-again hostility with their sister planet, Teneridae. With their sister planet Teneridae, that is openly hostile to to Federation membership and heavily influenced by the Orion Syndicate.
So, further details on your mission is that you will be tasked to Starbase 117. This area of space is bordered on 3 sides. You actually have to cross through the Klingon Empire to get there. On one side, you have the Romulan Empire. On the other side, you have the Klingon Empire. And on the other side, the third side, you have this unexplored expanse called the Shackleton Expanse. And the Shackleton Expanse is going to be... It has a joint Klingon Federation exploratory team that is based at what's called Narendra Station. And Narendra Station is named after the Battle of Narendra, where the Enterprise C fought against incoming Romulan birds of prey to save a Klingon colony and sacrificed itself in the process, but battled gloriously. And it is the foundation that drew respect between the Federation and the Klingon Empire that led to the Khitomer Accords and their eventual alliance. So, very, very interesting. But they're going to have a few ships assigned to that, or they're going to have a ship assigned to that area. It's either going to be Akira or a Galaxy class. And then Starbase 117 gets whatever's left. And so, because they're prioritizing the joint relationship with the Klingon Empire right now, it's far away. It's going to take you about 55 days to get there. At warp 7, which is your cruising speed. And you have to take on about 200 extra dignitaries and technicians and engineers and Federation people and stuff that are going to be dropped off at Starbase 117. Then you're going to be pick up some more people, go to Castores, and at Castores you're going to be able to drop off the people that are going to be the functional kind of nucleus of what will build the Federation presence on that planet. As well, you are taking on 3 Danube-class runabouts and dropping them off at Starbase 117. Those runabouts are named the Columbia, the Kootenai, and the Chaudier. Those, by the way, are my own personal little Easter egg, because my father served on the Columbia in the Canadian Navy. And these were 3 ships of his class, which were retired and then sunk to create an artificial reef, which is the most Canadian way to deal with your excess military surplus. And so I thought that was fitting kind of homage to his service. Anyways, so you're going to take these 3 runabouts and be crammed to the gills. We just lose Michael.
Perhaps.
Michael?
I'm back.
Okay. We're going to be crammed to the gills with extra people and items and stuff for this incredibly long 55-day journey all the way out to the butthole of the Federation on the edge of Orion space. Very, very fun. So yeah, at this scene, you are sitting down in a meeting room in Starfleet headquarters, and the 4 of you can sit down and hang out. So you guys kind of all show up and sit down around this meeting room at the same time. One thing that you got just before this meeting is your request for your engineering officer was denied. And instead, Starfleet headquarters has assigned you an acting chief engineer until they can find someone that you'll pick up on Starbase 117. His name is David Humphreys. All right, begin your meeting.
Well, hello, staff.
Hello.
Hello again.
Hi.
Long time no see, all.
So I know I put in a request for extra space to convert into medical bays. I'm just wondering if that happened.
From my understanding, they are working on the requested refits, and we don't know if they're yet completed.
Okay.
Or approved.
Okay.
So you're going to give them the details of the mission, Captain?
Yeah. As some of you may know, we are going to be taking on a whole bunch of Federation dignitaries and dropping them off on a world that has just recently joined the Federation, Castores. As well, we have cargo to drop off on Starbase 117. Additionally, we will be picking up our acting chief engineer on Starbase 117, David Humphreys, and just hoping this 100-year-old space frame doesn't break down before we get there. Any questions so far, staff?
How long is this supposed to take us to do all these drop-offs until we get to where we're going?
It's going to be like several months.
About 55 days.
About 55 days, just under 2 months.
That's to get to Starbase 117.
And then a bit further to Castores.
Very well. Are there any ailments or diseases that I need to know about with any of you that you have come in contact with recently? I'd like to hear full medical reports sent over to me as soon as possible.
Now, Captain, you do know from her personnel file that she's something of a hypochondriac. Did you hear that? I saw you take your earbuds out.
Yes, I did
Okay.
hear.
So she's something of a hypochondriac. I mean, it is a standard Federation protocol that she gets all of the medical records anyways, and she still seems to be needing to know this stuff.
Mm.
I just wanted to make sure that maybe you haven't went to any other worlds that maybe weren't in the report, perhaps on leave or vacation-like things. It's very important.
Vacation-like
It's been
diseases.
on a
of
Starbase for the
course.
last 2 years.
Well, Miss Bassa, or wait, Dr. Bassa,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all commit to getting you our full medical records before we leave Earth Space Dock.
Okay, I'll expect to see them later today. Thank you.
Have 55 days to pour them over. I'm sure you'll be okay.
We aren't leaving
Sass.
until
Oof.
that happens. Okay.
Great. Any other questions?
Nothing?
Nothing? Marcus? Nothing to add?
What?
Anything to add? Mr. Marcus?
No. I may have missed it, but when were we picking up our first officer?
We'll be picking him up in just under 2 months when we arrive.
Well, you'll be kind of
Oh,
picking
wait.
him up on the way.
Oh, yes,
so
on the
probably
way,
he's like
sorry.
a week or two out.
About a week or two out.
Am I to assume then that I will be serving as your first officer during that time?
Until he gets here, and at which point he'll be promptly resuming the role of third officer.
I'm going to call you Captain Sass.
I'll call you Captain Jackass.
That is insubordination.
Never to your face.
Throssi, do you have any
Never to
questions?
anyone else.
Yeah, how are the security systems? Have they been modernized? I know the ship has been in mothballs for 30 years.
Some systems are being modernized, but at the end of the day, it's still a century-old space frame. So it's being pushed to its limits.
Adapt to
However,
my surroundings. I gotcha.
its limits are 100 years old. So
Okay.
I mean, the one nice thing about this ship is the Bonaventure has... So, on your departments, every one of your departments, command, security, science, medicine, and con are 2, which means they're kind of like Federation standard. Right? So they've been able to upgrade it to modern kind of like standard for whatever ship. Your engineering's a 5.
mhm.
Now, that means that it is top of the fleet. In addition, you have improved impulse drive, secondary reactors, improved warp drive, and modular laboratories, and rugged design. So this thing can take a beating, and it's just gonna be efficient and fast and maneuverable, and all of those good things. Marcus, as the flight control officer on the con, this ship is a dream to fly.
I'm gonna slow a little bit. Gimme. Yeah.
That being said, it's probably less so for the rest of you. I mean, it's still an Excelsior-class spaceship. I mean, it has phaser banks and photon torpedoes and tractor beams and all the goodies. It's just that is nothing really special about it except for how amazing its engines. And
Well,
its
we will-
secondary reactors. You literally have a second reactor.
Well, we'll be taking these amazing engines and not pushing them one iota as we
As
proceed.
Scotty would say, our ample nails.
Sorry,
As we
one at a time, guys.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was saying that we're going to take these ample prototype top-of-the-line engines and take them at no greater than warp 7 for the next 2 months. And, yeah, give them a good...
Generally
warm-up.
go in a straight line.
Generally go in a straight line. And, yeah, hopefully we'll pick up the rest of our crew and our chief engineer before anything breaks.
I just want to take a moment to point out how much of a kick the one American got out of all the stories said a few moments
Yeah, I
ago.
picked up on that as well.
I've missed it.
We want you back.
After you.
Jay.
No, after you. I insist after you. No.
It's a Canadian standoff.
Someone go. I'll go. I'm not even there. I just have to say, Cured Hex is hanging out with Ensign Engineer Randy still. They're serving together still, so he's still with him since I'm being excluded from the group once again.
Yes, good.
Also, Captain, I want to let you know that I've made all the arrangements to send all my research supplies and nanos in order to better prepare me for all the surgeries that may occur. And I want to also assure you that I have been keeping up with all my training since you've seen me last, and I'm very excited to be on this mission.
It's, I'm glad to hear you've been keeping up with your professional competencies. That's very important. I'd really like to hear from the rest of the crew about how they've been keeping up with their professional competencies over the last couple of years and have improved or not improved. So, Elrossi, how have things been going?
What she said, only security and more stoic.
Okay. That's great. Have you sealed any coolant leaks using weaponry? Because please don't do that again.
No promises.
Good to hear. Marcus?
I've lived on a starbase for the last 2 years. Even though I haven't had much chance to pilot a ship, I look forward to this opportunity. Also, my time on the starbase has given me significant experience in dealing with dignitaries.
It's very positive and good to hear. I also hope you've had an opportunity to improve your marksmanship in the last 2 years. Looking forward to that.
Excessively.
Oh, good.
Loving the sass, Captain. Just loving it.
There's a man out there with no arm. I'm just saying. He has to deal with this reality every day.
In case that was too subtle for everyone.
Hey, who's to say he wasn't in so much pain that he couldn't make it off the ship when the captain ordered us to abandon ship? He was in so much pain. He could be dead now. You're being presumptuous.
He could just be dead. It's true.
Yes.
It was a very clean shot.
That's
He
great.
did get shot in sick bay, so that is a plus.
No
shot
better
in sick bay
place.
shortly before the ship exploded. So.
All right,
sure
so
that we're
why
able to
don't
take this,
we end this scene and move to when we're picking up everybody else? I'll move us over to the Bonaventure Bridge.
Hello, Bridge.
So an artist has allowed us to use this artwork, this amazing mock-up. Now, this is actually for a fan made show that they did. This is the USS Excelsior B, a Sovereign class ship, but I thought that it worked pretty well for our purposes. And so this is the Bonaventure for our purposes. That middle chair back there, that's the captain. And I think it's very beautiful. I love this bridge.
I love the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the blue is pretty awesome.
Goes with my skin tone.
It does go with your skin tone. I wonder, like, is the environmental controls in your quarters set to, like, 0?
Of course, naturally.
All right, so a couple of weeks in, you do meet up with a Danube-class runabout that is bringing your first officer on board. Kirid, why don't you start this process? Now, there's another person there that was piloting the runabout. They're just piloting you here and then turning around and going back to DS9 in that region, the DMZ along the Cardassian border. But you come up along the Bonaventure and you see it on your sensors. What do you do?
That's going to be my home. Damn it. He's not overly thrilled for this assignment. He is getting promotion to first officer. He was second officer on his previous command, so I mean it's a promotion. But he didn't really want to go to this. What did you so delicately call it? Butthole of the galaxy of Federation space.
Yeah.
So he's not thrilled with that.
Right. So, do you hail them?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what's the we call it the Skylark. This is a Skylark to Bonaventure, requesting First Officer Sirid Hex requesting to come aboard.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Okay, the screen comes up, and you see your first officer.
Hello, first officer.
Captain, it's good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you as well.
Requesting permission to come aboard, sir.
Permission granted.
Okay.
All right, so they beam you aboard into our beautiful transporter room.
Ooh.
And where do you go, Kirid? Do you go directly to the bridge?
No, I'm going to go... Actually, yeah, I have to. I don't know where my quarters are. I have a bunch of crap I want to drop off, but I don't know where they are. So I have to go to the bridge first.
So there's an ensign there that will take your stuff and tell you where your quarters are.
Right. I'm first officer. Ensign, take my bags.
Yes, sir.
Take them to my quarters.
Yes, sir. Are you heading to the bridge then?
Yes, sir. Yes. No, not sir. No. Yes.
Thank you, sir. No need to call me sir, though. And he marches off with your bags, and you go up to the bridge. The turbo lift opens, and everybody on the senior staff are up there. The Captain Argel is sitting at his seat. Next to him is Marcus Barton and Dr. Edom. And Ithrasi is kind of in behind at one of the stations, at the tactical station, and you walk onto the bridge.
Greetings, all.
Hello.
Greetings.
I have a medical tricorder that I'm hiding, but I'm scanning him because I've been learning that it's not polite just to do it out in the open.
Right.
I've absolutely picked up some disease somewhere. I guarantee it.
Like he literally just beamed on board, which
I know, but
clears every medical problem.
I can't trust the system because I haven't looked at it. So I'm just to double check.
I picked up some disease between the transporter and here. You're fine. You're fine.
All right, so you're doing that. Now, Kirid, when you walk on, Marcus is in your chair.
Third officer, first officer reporting, relieved of duty.
I stand relieved.
Hey, Marcus, you can just stand up, walk over to the con, and the con officer will stand up and go off to one of the other stations, and you can take your place there.
Home. Come.
Tim, you're going to have to speak louder if you want us to hear you.
No, I don't want you to hear me.
He's muttering stuff under his breath.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. Yeah, Kieran sits down and he kind of swivels. These swivel, right? I mean, we're in the future. All chairs should swivel.
Absolutely.
He sits down and he swivels a bit, very contentedly. He's eyed this post for a while, even if it is on a derelict ship headed to a butthole.
A derelict ship headed to a butthole. It is, even with its awesome engines.
Oh, I don't care about that.
Yes. Which is funny, none of you made a chief engineer, and this is like a chief engineer's playground. Because you guys designed this ship this way.
Yeah, why did we do that? That was dumb.
I think we just wanted to make sure whoever was our engineer would be able to do things with it.
Well, if we can
Yes.
get someone on as the engineer, certainly we can be like, listen, it's going to be the best job ever.
It's really a recruiting thing. Yeah.
It'll really sell itself.
So you take your post at the bridge. Con, you're waiting for orders.
Oh, Khan, resume course for Starbase 117.
Course
Warp
later.
7.
Owen, what's your catchphrase?
Oh, man.
Ooh,
Get going.
ooh.
Engage.
Get going.
Engage, but cautiously.
Cautiously engage.
Cautiously engage.
Those
On
engines
her.
wind up. And you guys take off at warp 7. So you guys continue on for several more weeks. And during this time, is there any interpersonal scenes that you guys want to have?
Well, I think I spend a lot of time in my ready room consuming coffee,
Okay.
2 milk, no sugar. That's what I'm up to.
All right.
And also obsessively reading about the Borg.
All right. So in your ready room.
Ooh.
Whoa.
It's a nice spot there. I think I would have preferred a couch, but I don't know if that's Starfleet reg.
Yeah, this is your ready room, which is quite nice, I think.
Mm.
Though that laptop looks a little dated.
A little bit.
All right. Anybody else want to do any interpersonal scenes before you get to Starbase 117?
I'm going to need to kind of make sure that the good doctor is aware of my legs as they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they're...
So would you
Kinda
like to engage in a
cybernetic.
scene in sickbay then?
Why not?
All right, let's say that a few days in, you arrive at sickbay. We're going to have this scene between Vanessa and Jake. Vanessa, you're working away in sickbay. You've got, a staff that are there, as well as people coming in and out doing their thing. As you guys have been traveling, it seems basically every day something's breaking, and you don't technically have a chief engineer, so the engineering staff have been run ragged trying to keep on top of everything. This is not helped by the fact that you have 200 extra passengers, including some VIPs, who are constantly bothering the captain and first officer. But you have all of this extra cargo. There's hallways sometimes where there's cargo stuff just stacked up in the hallways. It's just everywhere. So you arrive at sickbay. Why don't you guys begin the scene?
Doctor, do you have a second?
Yes. Kyrat, have you come at my request to do an extra medical checkover?
Wait, I think I have your request sent to my junk mail. I'm not here for that. I'm actually here to speak with you. I know that you've always been very diligent in your duties, as I recall from our time together, and I'm sure that you've read my file multiple times in detail.
Yes.
But as you are, I'm sure, aware, my legs were lost in a very heroic confrontation with a landslide.
It's less
and-
heroic every time you call it heroic.
It
was
gets
very
more
daring.
heroic every time I tell it. Don't you say that. And I'm just coming to check on your knowledge of cybernetics and prosthetics. Should I sustain any injuries over the course of my duties?
Oftentimes, when working with cybernetics, it's been in coordination with some engineering as well. But I do have some familiarity based on my readings. I'd love to take a look. So
Yes.
if you can show me where it all attaches and any pain you may feel or any complications when they were attaching them.
Absolutely. So far there's no complications really of note. I mean, there's a few things here and there that have always been there. But so I think he would proceed to essentially just show his cybernetics and how they were installed and detailed. And then the last thing I want to ask you, Doctor, is that you do some reading and preparation in our travel time, so that when we arrive at our destination and I get injured in more heroic action, that you would be able to compensate.
Yeah, and I take a look very much at how his organic and his cybernetics are integrated together. That fascinates me. I don't know if I'll ever maybe be able to fix some of his little issues with the nanotechnology that I've been working with, but that's what I'm like looking at, and so that's probably what I'll work on as we go, is seeing if I can use what I know with nanosurgery to help him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is certainly something that you can begin looking into.
Mm-hmm.
We can start a research task. We won't do it for this session, but we can definitely do that for next session or something. But you can start looking at how to improve his cybernetic legs using nanotechnology.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right.
I also make him do a whole bunch of ridiculous things, like different exercises with them, so I can see how they all move and interact, like jumping jacks,
So
sprints, and because I'm fascinated.
That's really fun for me.
Yeah, I run him through a ridiculous amount of things to get this information.
I'm never coming down for one of your routine medical examinations ever again.
So as captain, I hear a lot of things, from junior staff that maybe they don't feel comfortable bringing to the senior staff that they immediately report to. And I think it would be an important reminder, upon hearing that Kedrid was, very interested in showing Dr. Idem where all his bits connect. That it's really important to disclose any romantic or extracurricular relationships to your superior.
Don't read into these bits showings, man. This is professional bit showing, not personal.
I'm hearing this from the junior medical staff, and I want to, put a lid on it before it gets too out of control.
That's fair.
When you make those insinuations, I don't really get it. I'm like, okay, I guess I shouldn't talk about my research. All right. Captain is a very strange fellow.
And what kind of staff do you have that report to him that I'm showing you my bits?
Right? And it's like the medical, bay.
Do you have like 8-year-olds working for you? Like
Privilege.
Listen,
exactly. Thank you.
All I heard was that you were showing up really excited about showing her different bits, and then really excited about making him do like exercises and push-ups, and it just sounded all a little weird. So
I will tell you everyone in the future to whom I show my bits.
Okay, thank you.
That's all he asks.
And I'm sure it's not just me. He wants to know whenever anyone shows anyone else their bits.
Starfleet takes sexual harassment very seriously, and it's important that we keep on top of these things.
Well, there's like 650 people on board right now, so it could be a lot of bits.
A lot of bits showing, I think. Then.
Just got to keep track.
Okay.
All right, so any other personal scenes that you want to do before you arrive at Starbase 117?
I invite the senior staff for card games in my quarters.
Card games.
I get into that.
Is everyone into playing cards at Marcus's room?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
As captain, I just hang out in my quarters and drink coffee by myself. It's not appropriate to fraternize with the staff. But you guys go ahead. Have fun.
Do you guys just get together in the briefing room and play cards, or you play in one of the in your quarters?
I was planning for my quarters.
Okay. Well,
And
as
I have-
senior staff, you do have quarters big enough to have like a little area where you can entertain people and stuff. So that's not a problem.
Yeah, and I was planning to have it set up so that it could be like poker, euchre, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you start a poker night. You
Yeah.
heard that the senior staff on the Enterprise does this, and so you thought it might be a good team-building exercise, and people seem to be interested in it. Ithrasi, did you say that you were going to attend the poker night?
Yeah, I'll go.
Awesome. All right, so you guys play poker. That's super exciting. So why don't we flash forward to when you get to Starbase 117?
Someone let the dog out, and now it's loud.
That's my neighbor's dumb dog.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So Starbase 117 is a retrofitted Federation starbase that the USS Bonaventure will be tasked to. It was built by a Klingon civilian manufacturing and trade consortium and went operational in 2284, serving as a stronghold of trade and influence for the Klingon Empire during its glory years. It's built into a large, hollowed-out asteroid, and it's rumored to be nigh indestructible. It was ceded in a little red section of the Khitomer Accords to the Federation as it was on its way to abandonment anyways. Federation decided to retrofit it for their purposes and rename it Starbase 117, and it has remained a hub for Federation trade, influence, and force projection in the sector. It is quite old and under-resourced, with no ships of the line tasked to it up till now. In the sector, it's commonly referred to by its Klingon name, Tepyap Eos Sha, which translates roughly as Cargo Station 42. Very glorious Klingon name. However, those who serve in its barren stone environs and many other, at least outside of earshot of the command staff, simply call it the Hole. It is not considered an honor to serve here on the edge of space, and it is not a sought-after assignment. Starbase 117 is commanded by Commander Eriko Sulu, a hotshot golden child at Starfleet, who is very young given that she already has a command. However, she has let it be known that she is very dissatisfied with her post and thinks she is being punished for having a famous great-great-grandfather. So you guys arrive at the station. What you do see is there is a Constellation-class ship that is docked there. The Constellation-class ship is the Louis Rial, and there is a Constitution-class refit ship that's like half torn apart in dry dock. It's like half of the ship you can see like bulkheads and stuff like that, and you can make out its designation that it's the John A. MacDonald, and it is just a mess. Like, it is months and months away from being operational, but you do see kind of figures moving over its surface working on it. So as you come up on it, you're all on the bridge. What do you do? Captain, this is when you bark orders at everyone.
Well, I'm not sure who this would go to. We'd want to hail the Starbase.
All right, Captain, we can hail them. Hailing Starbase 117. They say they're responding. Shall I put it on screen?
Put it on screen.
Hey, it goes on screen, and you see Commander Eriko Sulu. She looks really dissatisfied with, life. And she's like, Captain?
And this is the USS Bonaventure, reporting on time and as scheduled.
Excellent. It's great to see you, Captain. You will be tasked to the Starbase. So why don't you dock at she lists off a docking station, and then when you get settled in, why don't you take the day and give your people shore leave, and they can enjoy the comforts of the Starbase while you're here. I would love to recommend the upper level lounge. That's our most popular club. And yeah, we should probably talk.
Should probably talk. Well, why don't we commence the docking, and then we can have our chat.
Okay, so you guys come in for docking. Marcus, you're going to have to do a unique docking maneuver. If you can see the picture on your screen, your ship actually needs to turn and back in. So this is going to be a task for, let's see, it's probably going to be a control and con task.
Awesome.
Oh, please crash the ship.
It's a difficulty one.
And I'm going to throw in my Helm's Operation Focus
Okay.
into it.
All right, this is 2 successes. So you come around and back it in nice and smooth. This is the first bit of precision flying you've been able to do in 2 months, basically. So you're pretty excited about the opportunity, and you slide that puppy right into dock. Perfectly. That was a good bit of flying. And, I mean, as you notice, the Bonaventure turns on a dime for a ship of its size. So once you guys are docked, Captain, are you going to allow shore leave for your crew, or are you just going to, like, do a few meetings and get the hell going again?
We're going to authorize shore leave for the whole crew.
Okay, how long are you going to stay at the Starbase?
Say 36 hours.
36 hours, and so except for a skeleton crew and the duties that need to be done, everybody's authorized for shore leave for those 36 hours. So people seem to be really excited. They've been cooped up. Now, during this time, you're offloading those runabouts and a bunch of the cargo. A bunch of people are getting off at Starbase 117, and other people are coming on. You also need to make contact with David Humphreys, who's your chief engineer. And finally, you need to talk to Commander Sulu. So there's a bunch of stuff to do. You don't have to do it all yourself. You can order someone else to do some of it.
Okay. Well, I think first officer can be designated to go find our new chief engineer.
Okay.
I can do that.
Marcus Barton seems excellent at moving things and existing in a space station, so I think he can handle the offloading. And
he left in protest.
He quit Starfleet. He joined the Marines. And and I will meet with Sulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ithrasi, what are you planning on doing on your shore leave?
Gonna check out this lounge.
Okay. Bassa, Dr. Bassa, what are you going to do?
I'd like to go meet with whoever's in charge of medical on the Starbase. I'm always interested in finding new ways to
Hey,
do
I need you to
things.
speak up. I can't quite hear you.
Oh, sorry. So I'm going to go meet with the medical there. I'm also going to probably suggest to the medical that Sulu may be affected with some seasonal affected SAD, need some light therapy because she was quite grumpy, and it could be because she's in this rock and it's very dark.
Good. Now, Marcus, did you hear what your orders were?
No, I didn't.
So you've been ordered by your captain to offload the runabouts and other cargo. Make sure that that's done. Primarily the runabouts are your responsibility. You can order other people to handle cargo.
Aye, sir.
All right, so why don't we start with Marcus? Marcus, so you need to unload the Chaudier, the Kootenai, and the Columbia. So you head down to the shuttle bay, which is like stacked. There's shuttles that are like stacked up on top of each other, and whole bunch of canisters and crates everywhere. So this is a kind of a tricky situation. How are you going to offload these things?
Are the runabouts, are they accessible right now, or are they underneath other shuttles?
The runabouts themselves are accessible just because they're bigger. They were kind of put towards the back end, and everyone knew that they had to be offloaded. And I mean, they were just in a position where the other shuttles couldn't have been accessed on the way if you needed to access a shuttlecraft, so the runabouts would have pinch hitted for your shuttlecraft complement. But yeah, you can access them.
Okay. I'm going to say that those bits of cargo that couldn't be transported be loaded onto the runabouts, and we fly them over. We'll get the cargo loaded first, and I think we'll begin taking them. We'll take them one at a time as soon as they are loaded. Send them over, and I'll assign 2 others to pilot the other 2 runabouts.
Okay.
And I'll pilot one myself.
All right, so to assign people to the task, it's going to be a difficulty 2, presence, and con task. Or presence and command task.
Okay.
It does not go well.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to stop the scene for you right there. And we're going to move on to someone else. All right. So next up is Kirid. Kirid, you have been assigned to go and find David Humphreys.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that?
I'm assuming that it shouldn't be that hard to track down. I'm going to essentially leave the
I mean,
ship,
you
go
can
to the
simply be
Starbase.
like, computer, where's David Humphreys?
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, and just find the computer or whatever, and have him take me to David Humphreys.
Okay, the computer says that he is in the upper level lounge.
I'm absolutely going to the upper level lounge. I was headed there anyway.
Now, you have a tablet that shows his duties right now, and he is technically on duty. But he is an engineer. Maybe he's fixing something there.
All right. This should be fun. Let's go see what he's fixing in the upper level lounge. Maybe I can help him.
Throssi, you were also going to upper level lounge, weren't you?
Yes, I am.
So you and Kirid start heading towards the upper level lounge. When you walk in, it is a 3-level kind of gambling establishment, game establishment with like a dance floor at the bottom. And there is kind of this, there's this Klingon music that's playing. It's Klingon punk, and which is a new form of Klingon music that where they take Klingon opera and put it to Earth punk riffs. And it sounds just as awesome as you can imagine it sounds, right? So the place isn't like bumping right now, but it is a little early. When you walk in, it's quite dark. It's lit to about the level of a Klingon ship would be lit, so it's dark. There's a lot of reds in the colors. There's also kind of a hazy, smoky atmosphere that is going on. The music is incredibly loud. There's people playing Dabo and Domjot, and you kind of walk into this darkness, and what do you guys do?
I am on duty. Ithrasi is not. It's my job to find the engineer. So I'm going to look at my data pad where he is and head that way.
Okay, so to find him, there'd be an insight plus security check.
Oh, hey, I think I can do this. Well, we'll see if I can do this. So, insight and security. Away team specialist for a focus?
No.
Combat tactics. I'm totally going to attack him.
Ooh, nice.
No problem. So you quite easily handle that situation. I should point out that you guys are building up momentum. You've built up 3 momentum so far. So I'm going to grab some. And the reason it reminded me because Marcus, I fear, is going to need some momentum. So yeah, you have you are looking around and you spot him on the 2nd level, and he's holding a kind of metal goblet, and in front of him is a long, tall, half-empty glass container with kind of purple liquid in it, and it's kind of got a spiral serpentine kind of pattern on it. And he's sitting there and he's kind of wobbling, and he has kind of a long, kind of unruly, curly hair, and he's kind of got a day's stubble on him, and his uniform looks kind of disheveled.
What is that purpley? Is that something that I would know?
It's a Cardassian drink called Knar.
That is as helpful to me as if you said it was Boomba juice. What is a Knar?
Well, it's definitely not Boomba juice. Come on, that's ridiculous.
My bad.
Knar is a strong Cardassian liquor.
There we go. That's helpful.
Right, so it's definitely not synthahol. He's getting wasted.
Oh, fantastic.
On duty.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I am going to immediately storm up to him.
All right. He's sitting there, looks up at you. What?
Officer, you are on duty.
You my mom?
No, I'm a side question. First officer is superior. Is that superior to second officer? Essentially, am I his commanding officer?
Yeah. Yes. He's the chief engineer. He's an enlisted person. He's not technically an officer, and he'll only be the acting chief engineer.
Fantastic.
He's Master Chief Petty Officer. He's not technically a chief engineer. He's just who you're being assigned for right now till they can find somebody.
I am your commanding officer. Stand at attention, sir.
You're my what?
Your commanding officer. Now stand at attention.
You're not Bolian? He kind of struggles to his feet. Wait.
You're being assigned to the Bonaventure.
Is that today?
Yes. Now stand at attention.
He struggles to his feet and stands at attention. He's swaying a little bit, but he's trying to kind of hold it in. Sir?
Report to the Bonaventure immediately.
Okay. What should I do when I get there?
Report to the bridge and await further instructions.
All right. Hey. He turns around and he just stumbles out and away. Ithrasi, what are you doing?
I am observing this from the bar nursing a drink of my own because I'm off duty.
So you kind of walk up to the bar. There's a Klingon behind the bar. He's of average height for a Klingon in civilian clothes, and he's cleaning a glass, but he keeps spitting on the cloth and then cleaning it some more. He looks at you. Andorian ale? Or Andorian brandy?
Yeah, sure.
Ah! Great. Can hardly get rid of the stuff. Aha! Except for that stupid science officer, and he hardly drinks at all. Here you go. He pours you some of the blue liquid, pats you on the shoulder, and he's just like, well, what brings you here to the hole? Ha ha!
My ship.
Ship? Are you on the Louis Riel?
No, the Bonaventure.
Bonaventure. Oh. The new Excelsior class to sign here. Well, not new, right? Am I right?
She's old, but she'll do.
Ah. So, how long you guys in? Should I see an influx of personnel coming into my bar?
Just a day and a half. No, you probably won't see a lot.
Ah. We're about the only place to have a good time on the whole, so I bet you they'll all wind their way here eventually. He sits there and he kind of grabs the bottom of your glass as you're drinking it and makes you drink it all up, and then puts it down and he pours you another. So,
Go on, take it.
What's your name?
Ithrasi.
Ithrasi. And what do you do on the Bonaventure?
I am the chief of security.
Chief of security. I knew I smelled a cop. Well, if you need anything, you let me know. I have just the Holosuite program for you. It is amazing. It is a spa on Andoria, and if you pay just a little extra latinum, let's just say things end well for you.
Maybe next time. I'm not looking for a happy ending tonight.
All right. He kind of waddles off to serve other customers. All right. So, Kirid, what are you going to do now?
So after my only duty really was to get the engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm technically off duty. He's going to explore the Starbase a little, kind of just see why everyone so lovingly refers to this as the hole.
Sure. So you go wandering around in the Starbase, and I'll get back to you in a second. All right. Celis, Captain Argel.
Hello.
Hi. You are going to Ops, where you are going to meet up with the commanding officer of Starbase 117, who will technically be your coordinating officer as part of the task force that's been assigned to Starbase 117. All right, so you head up to Ops. When the turbolift takes you up to Ops, it opens up, and it is very clearly this Starbase has been dug like in multiple caves and by laser cutters. And in this area, there's just like stuff hung in stone everywhere, and you can see kind of the faded-in imprints of old Klingon empirical emblems that have been pulled down. You know, kind of like when there's a sign up for a long time and they pull it off, you can just see the outline of the sign. That's everywhere. You see that there's spots in Ops where there's like disruptor fire blasts that were never kind of taken care of. But everything has been refitted so that it is a Federation issue at this point. And everyone's kind of working away in Ops. As you come in, a Vulcan turns around and says, Captain.
Greetings, officer.
I am First Officer Lieutenant Commander Jim Strens.
Hello, I am Captain Argel of the USS Bonaventure.
Good. We have been expecting you. You are exactly on time. I appreciate your punctuality.
Thank you.
The commander is looking for you. She will be in her office just over there. See, there's just these two huge doors that kind of open up like this, side and open. It looks like a kind of a raptor or a hawk's wings opening up, and when you walk through it, it looks like you're walking into the gullet of some kind of beast. Obviously, whoever designed this, the commander's office, was designed to inspire fear and loyalty in their people. It's pretty unrelentingly awful, just everywhere you look. So as you walk up, the doors go and open up, and you can see into the office, which has been decorated as much as it can possibly be in a Japanese Earth motif. And you see Commander Sulu sitting behind her desk with just stacks of reports, and she has both of her hands in her head, or both of her hands on her head.
To be clear, how are the reports stacked? Or is this a paperless Starbase, or are they on
Yeah,
tab?
but you know, when you walk in on Star Trek, there'd always be like multiple of those tablets all over the place.
You can only fit so much information on one tablet, so...
Yeah, or there's
get
like
it.
security. I'm not sure. There's probably a good in-universe explanation for why it's not just all on one tablet, or why they need tablets at all. But considering like every surface is a computer screen too. But I don't know what that in-universe explanation is. She looks up at you, just this weary look. Captain, come on in. Have a seat.
Okay, I sit down.
Well, you have your orders. You'll be tasked to Starbase 117. We have also just received the Constellation class Louis Riel, who will also be tasked to this group. The Louis Riel will be patrolling the Romulan, closer to the Romulan neutral zone, though, so you won't probably be working very much with them. As you can see, kind of a side project that we had as a fun project for the last couple of years here was to refit and rebuild the John A. MacDonald. Suddenly, however, that has become a priority, and we're working double shifts, but it's still going to take months to get that up and running. Even then, it's a Constitution refit. You know what? You don't need my problems. In the end, you're the heaviest hitter ship of the line that we have. You have a special mission on Castoria. So occasionally, I may ask you for favors, but between the Danube runabouts and whatever local Federation traffic comes through here, I'm going to try to keep your workload light, because I know you have big worries on your plate. And, I mean, it doesn't help that you outrank me technically. Haha.
Technically.
Any questions?
What will the nature of these special requests be, should you make them?
Well, it just depends on if anything comes up, and we might have to ask the tasked ships for Starbase 117 to act on something. I mean, my priority is going to be to task the Louis Riel before the Bonaventure whenever I can, but I can't promise that I won't need to reach out to you from time to time. I mean,
Very well.
the Bonaventure is tasked to this group for 5 years. I'm assuming something will come up during that time.
One would assume.
Now, of course, any major repairs or refits, Castoria is not set up to do that, so you would have to come back here.
Okay.
We have been set up, and we're ready to handle anything that you need on that front, so just let us know. You need to know how far out we are. I mean, if this trip here through Klingon space wasn't enough to demonstrate to you just how far away from everything we are, it's basically us and Naranda Station, and They're going to be doing their own things in the Shackleton Expanse. The Louis Riel has its hands full on the neutral zone border, and help is going to be weeks away, is all I'm saying. So you're going to have to learn to be pretty self-reliant.
Very well.
Anything else?
Being that we're so far away, do you have any updated situational information on Castor and what's happening planet side?
Well, I mean, there's not much to know. You are taking on a multiple units of a breather. So these breathers need to be worn anytime you're on the planet's surface. The planet has an incredibly rich oxygen atmosphere. It is not a Class M planet. It's a Class H planet. So you can go down there for short periods of time, but the oxygen atmosphere is toxic to most humanoids. The Castoris do it quite well, but on Castoria, that is toxic, and it will kill you if you're on there for too long without this breather. That'll allow you more nitrogen and carbon dioxide into your blood system. Essentially, what do you know about the situation between Castoria and Tyrinidan?
We know that they have a classically antagonistic relationship, and that there have been on again, off again hostilities for the last few hundred years.
Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, being a binary system to begin with, binary planetary system to begin with, Tyrinidan is a Class M planet. The Tyrinidae are a species that, well, essentially something like 70 years ago, both species met each other and discovered each other. They were on opposite ends of the sun for most of that time. And when they encountered, it almost immediately came to violence. That led to decades of interplanetary war before they were a warp-capable species. That led to multiple nuclear exchanges, invasion attempts, reprisals, until the Castores developed warp technology. Unfortunately, one of their first warp prototypes crash-landed on Tyrinidan, and that was seen as an attack, but the Trinidans were able to reverse engineer and enter the warp family at that point. When that happened, though, the Orion Syndicate became very interested in both planets. They showed up, they tried to enslave both planets, but due to the species' idiosyncrasies, they're terrible slaves. So the Trinidans are an amphibious mammalian species, and they can't be away from being fully submerged in water for too long. The Castores, of course, need breathers to breathe in normal atmospheres, Class M atmospheres, so they don't make good slaves either. However, the Orion Syndicate faction that showed up used their military might and advanced technology to enforce a peace which lasted since about 50 years ago, but it's peace at the end of a sword. About 10 years ago, the Castores broke away from the Orions and applied for Federation membership. That was recently, as you know, approved. Then the Castores threw us this curveball. On Tyrinidan, there are two primary political structures. One is a loose confederation of people who are pro-Orion. The other enjoyed the last decade or so of leadership. There was just an election that switched hands. And the other was pro-independence. Beyond those broad categories, those factions agree on almost nothing. There's constant infighting. They're pretty well armed in comparison to Castoria. That's where you come in. Federation, as you probably know, can't let this vote in 5 years fail. They would never say that on their orders, but it does not look good or a Federation member to leave. Don't choose to leave Paradise. So your job is, of course, to make sure that everything goes well and they have the freedom to vote how they want. But somebody will be held responsible if the vote doesn't go our way.
Somebody.
And as soon as I can get a transfer out of this rock, I'm gone. So
That somebody
hopefully
will
that
not be
somebody's
you.
you.
Well, thank you for that information. Before we go, do you have any supplementary information on our acting chief engineer, David Humphreys?
Yeah. Here's his personnel file. Passes over a data pad. Why don't you take a quick look at that, see if you notice anything interesting.
Seems like he's been picked up for public intoxication quite a bit.
That is true. Why don't you make a insight and security check?
Sure. Okay. Whoa, hang on. Nice. Chill.
So fun fact, Michael is running a dogfighting ring out of his home.
They're actually targs.
Targ fighting ring out of his home. So if anyone wants to dox him and make sure that he's punished for such terribleness, just let him know. Let me know. I'll give you all his personal information.
Swear dogs. The worst. Okay, so sorry, what, security and insight?
That's right.
Okay. Insight, selected discipline, security. Okay, so input value, number of D20, 2?
Yep.
Okay. Applicable focus, team dynamics? What do you
Sure.
think? All right. Got an applicable focus there.
Ooh, huzzah.
Ooh.
All right, 2 successes. You immediately notice that there is a giant chunk of his early record that's been redacted.
Redacted.
And the security clearance to uncover that redaction is higher than yours.
Interesting.
Like, you see it, don't you?
I do see it, and I would like to ask Miss Sulu if she has any information.
I have what you have.
Okay.
I'll tell you that every time I've tried to discipline him, Starfleet Command gets involved.
Okay. Interesting.
Good luck.
Sounds like I'll need it.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you've been putting feelers out for a new chief engineer. I just hope you get one quickly.
I hope so too.
That being said, if you look on his record, he's very capable. Does his job well. He just lacks discipline.
Lacks discipline and has a secret and shadowy past.
Also, and who doesn't love a secret and shadowy past on your senior staff?
As well as multiple arrests for public intoxication.
Probably the most cautious captain in the world.
Yeah, no, I see no red flags here.
All right. So that scene with Commander Sulu is probably over. She sends you on your way. We are coming up on time here, so we're going to end it here. We will resolve Marcus Barton's problems with the runabouts when we begin the next session. Now, I don't think we'll be streaming next Monday because it's a long weekend, right? So there'll be 2 Mondays from now. Is that good for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm just going to end the stream. Stay on it for a few seconds. You can stop recording your audio right now.